Welcome back to it. Welcome. In case this is the first time you're tuning in, I will tell you to go back to part 1 and part 2 because this is part 3 of our 4-part series of Eat Your Corn Ice Cream Code. You'll find everything in the introductory series. And so today's part 3. Welcome back. It is a new week. It's another week, and I hope this week is finding you well. It is a beautiful Monday. So we are on accepting where you are, living in the present. At present today, we are in May, and it is the 27th of May. It is a beautiful Monday. No Monday blues here. In case you're having an echo, in case you're nursing it, I sympathize with you, brother or sister. But today is when there's an episode, so I don't know at what time of day you're listening to this, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Okay, accept where you are. Living in the present. We have talked about accepting where you've been. We've talked about accepting where you've not been. And we know now that you cannot accept where you've been and jump the gun to start accepting where you are. You need to also recognize where you've not been. And remember our keywords. It is understand, recognize, and acknowledge. And that is what we're going to be doing today. We are in the present. We are where we are now, the present. You need to come to a point where you accept where you are now. The mistake we make is living in the past. Remember, I did mention in part 1 of this series when we started that it is good to go back to your past and face it. Remember, it is face it, fix it, make it better, right? So we're facing it. I did mention earlier that it's okay to go back to your past and face it. If you've got unhealed traumas, if you've got things that are sitting in, things that you swept under the rug, it is okay to you get them, you unsweep them. If there's such a word, you unsweep and then you make it better, right? That's why we're in the face it, fix it, make it better. We have faced it, okay, in part 1. We have fixed it in part 2, and now we're in part 3. We're still fixing. Look, healing does not come in a day. It will take years for you to heal. But then the first thing that you need to do is acknowledge where you've been, accept where you've been, accept where you've not been, and accept where you are now, which is in the present. But then I'm going to talk about the mistake we make, okay? And the mistake is living in the past. Dude, when I say uncover your past and face it, I'm not saying live there. Face your reality at present. People want to fix what they can't fix. And I think I talked about that last week in part 2 when I said people are trying to change what they can't change, fix what cannot be fixed. Living in the past is one of the biggest mistakes you will ever make while you're in your present. You're in your present. You're where you are now, but you're still living in the past. You still cannot accept that way. You want to hold. And I want to talk about hoarders. So a hoarder, not by definition of any dictionary or whatever, but this is from my understanding. You can Google it later or go to a dictionary and just find out what is a hoarder. From my understanding, I'm going to give an example of who a hoarder is. A hoarder is a person who just can't let go. You are keeping your poverty with you. Why the hell would someone stay with his ex-wife's clothes in a closet and they've been divorced for 10 years and you just still have the clothes? For some reason, that's a hoarder. They're holding on to the past. You want to remember it. No, I just want to keep this to remind me, where not to go or what mistake not to make. No. You're just a hoarder. You just like to keep things. You like to hold on to your past. And I'm here to say holding on to the past is the biggest mistake, the first mistake we make. And that is what keeps us from accepting the situation for what it is. Fix what you can fix and leave alone what you can change and work to better it. I'm going to say that again. Fix what you can fix and leave alone what you can change and work to better it. You need to accept where your situation is now, honey. Move away from the past. Yes, you faced it. Accept. But don't stay in your past. Don't drag it into your future. In the previous episode last week, I did talk about how, I talked about, intelligence, academic excellence, grades, careers, this, that. I think I did dwell on that a lot. And I think I'm going to come back to it. There is just, you need to accept that. Remember when I talked about the whole privilege thing, you're not as privileged and whatever. I think it's okay. It's okay. If you're not as privileged, it's fine. So now you understand from where you've not been, you understand that at present, I always have to suffer more than others, and I have to accept the situation. I know at present that for me, because of things that have not been, some of us in university, I never really concentrated on my school because half the time before an exam, I'm thinking about my fees, whether they're going to be paid or not. So meaning, even the time that I had to be studying, I'm busy there, financial office, you know what I mean? So I never really had enough time to study because you're constantly thinking, lecturers are constantly sending back your assignments because you haven't paid, you're not on Moodle, Shani. So, how can you focus? But then that was where I was. That was where I've been, right? And I understand where I've not been, which is a place of financial privilege. So I accept where I am, because now I have to work twice as much as this other person who is privileged. And what is even shameful now is people who are privileged are hardworking than someone who wants to travel the whole world. But Tale Bomba, you are not even putting in any effort. But someone who is privileged, okay, this person can afford a flight ticket. They don't even need to cut corners. They can afford to travel the world. But they are working so hard and diligent. And you, who first of all, you don't even have the money, and yet you are walking around with your head high with this privileged, entitlement spirit, and yet you can't afford, and yet someone who can actually afford is working as hard as you can. I think you should be ashamed. I should be ashamed if I've been acting that way as well. There's times where I'll be so laid back and relaxed, thinking like things will make itself. But I need to understand that I need to work twice as hard. And there's days, honey, that I forget. You know what I mean? There is days I genuinely forget that I need to burn the oil twice as much as that other person who is privileged is. I need to do more work. And it is only now that I accept my situation that I just need to suffer. I need to suffer more than others because of probably what was not there, probably because of the foundation that was just never set. So, holding on to your past is what is wrong. You cannot hold on to your past and accept where you are. One has to go, and the one that has to go is holding on to your past. Having that mentality of this is the way it has always been, this is how we always do it. I don't know if you've ever come across such people where they don't want change, they don't want creativity, they don't want initiative. It's always this is how things have been and this is how we're going to be. So in short, you're stuck in the way things have always been. This is how things have always been in our family. So, why aren't you even trying to be better? It's like how I'll talk about the faith, Christianity. Jesus did say, you will do before leaving. He said, look, Jesus was a man who only lived for 3 years in his ministry. He only did a few miracles here and there. He did what he could do. And he said, you know what? You guys should do better than I have. So when we see men of God being all rich, having money, being popular, doing greater things than Jesus did, those mentalities, to that mentality that, Vaja, how can he be that rich? He's a pastor. There's probably something. No. Mentality share. That's the mentality we don't want here. Because then how are you going to talk about someone being rich and successful as satanic when that is what has already been declared to say you will do more than I? So you are stuck in the past. You don't want to accept where you are, so you are continually embodying who or what you were. It's like you can't even see who you are now because you're so stuck with Ise Tenze Bantu. You need to accept that, okay, Mwenze Bantu Batapamaje, this is the body you have to work with, right? I'm going to give an example. I've come across, I'm a fitness enthusiast. That means that there's times when I do give advice to certain ladies, you know what I mean? There's a lady who approached me in the gym. There was this day I was working out and she was leaving. So she just approached me. She's like, hi, how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. She was like, And it's how it starts. You know that there's a story coming when the Zambian starts a sentence with, And she started telling me the hot and Zevantu, story. She was like, no, you know what? When I look at you, I'm really inspired because that's the kind of person that I was a long time, except, life changed. I have children now. Yeah, my body is not just the same, but I see you putting in this effort and that's how we were. I remember telling her the first question I asked, like for me, it's always the first question I always ask. I always ask a woman when she approaches me and says, no, Chrisley, I want to do this. I want to start working out. I always ask, why? Why do you want? And for me, what she told me was, I want to lose weight. Then she brought out her phone and showed me a picture of herself in university and after she had her first child. So she's got 4 kids and she's married. So she said, Chrisley, this is the body I want. I said, okay. And she said, yeah, that's why I've started working out, because I want to get that body. And for me, I told her, Mama, that's impossible. She's like, no, Shani, you're just being negative. I said, no, you came to me. You're in my playground. You asked me a question and I'm giving you my response. I'm not going to give you what you want to hear. For me, I'm not that kind of person. I will tell you the truth of what it is. She's got people who are out there telling her, yeah, you can. Even these same trainers we follow, sometimes it's not know what to go to. And her trainer told her, her trainer told her that it is possible for her to get that body in the next 6 months. And for me, I told her that mommy, to be in all honesty, that's not going to be possible. Why? Because your body has already experienced certain changes. Look, the moment you enter marriage, your body will change, and that's the truth. That's the reality you need to face. For me, that's the reality I've already made peace with. I understand that when I get married, my body will definitely change because it's going to have to adapt. A lot of things are going to be happening. You're going to have hormonal changes. Definitely, you're going to be having sex more often than you do. It won't be and now there's going to be issues of you having a kid and having what? Yes, I know you look at Instagram models. And this is what I told her. I know you look at Instagram models. I know you've been told this and that, but you need to accept where you are. You're living in the past. You're living in the past of who that little girl was, probably whoever she was, you know what I mean? You were young, you were in university, you had your first child, you were still fresh. But now you've been married for a long time and you can't have an unrealistic goal of you still being stuck in the past. You need to accept that, okay, this is where my body is. What can I do with my body at this present state? What can I do with my body where it is now? What can I do? You work with it. Accept that this is where my body is now. How can I tone? How can I gain some muscle? How can I lose the fat and become this beautiful mama? You don't have to be slim to be nice. It's like how people find being light the thing. People think being slim is the thing. It's not. You can be big and nice. Because for me, I just want to be big and nice. I remember when I started my fitness journey, honey, when I started my fitness journey, it was, I want to lose weight. I want to be thin and slim. I ended up overdoing myself that I became slim to a point that people were asking me, are you sick? I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, I don't like this. I would wear jeans and it's not fitting right. I was like, this is not going to be my goal. I had to change my goal. In 2022, I changed my goal. I said, no, I want to be fit, toned. I want to get mass and I want to have a great body. I started working toward that 2022. 2023 is when the at least difference started showing. Only in 2023, a year later, that's when now my body began to at least show that, okay, till losing out the fat, we've shedded the fat, we're doing this. But anyway, we're not talking about fitness. But that's what I told this lady. I said, you need to set a realistic goal and accept where your body is now. Accept where you are. And stop continually embodying who and what you were. Secondly, you are trying to maintain a standard you once were, and yet at present, that isn't even the reality. So you need to stop trying to maintain a standard that you once were and work with what and where you are now. Work with what you have now. It's okay. It's okay to work with what you are and where you are. It's okay to look at it and say, okay, now I'm big. So what are we going to do? Okay, fine. Let's tone. Let's be fit. Let's be able to walk stairs. Okay, let's be able to walk up the stairs and not get tired after a while. You set that goal. That is what is going to be good and better for you. And now moving on, probably in the past, who you were, and probably you're in a position you're saying, okay, Chrisley, for me, I am where I am at present because of my past. And probably you're saying, because of your past, you were a prostitute now. Because of where you were, of being broke, maybe broke, poor, you were saying that, hey, Chrisley, I've already accepted where I've been. I've already accepted where I've not been. And I've already accepted where I am now. And now I accept that because I've been so broke and poor because, of certain things, I'm now a prostitute. So, okay, because of where I've never been, I am now a thief. And probably that's what you're saying. That because of my circumstances in the past, because of where I've not been, I've started doing this. And that's where we are at present. And probably that's where you are now. And that's where life has brought you. I want to say that face it, fix it, make it better. And in case that's what you're saying, to say, Chrisley, I've already faced it. I've fixed it. I'm in the process of fixing it, but because of the circumstances in my life that I couldn't change. And you're saying, Chrisley, yeah, you've told us that accept what you can't change. And for real, I'll accept that I've just not been privileged. I've accepted. So Chrisley, and in case you're saying, so Chrisley, are you going to blame me for doing what I do now because of where I've not been? Because me, I'm from a poor background. But because of that, at present, I do certain things because of where I've been. And maybe, just maybe, you are at this current state of life and this is where you are. You're saying, yes, Chrisley, I've accepted. But because of that, I make my money. I do sex for grades. I do sex for money. That's what I do. That's how I make my money. Girl, I sell drugs because just to feed my family, just for me to have something to eat, just for me to have something to wear, to have some shoes. This is what I do. Give me to the table. This is what I do. And in case that's where you are, you're saying, yeah, I accept everything. But I'm also accepting my present life to say, just for me to survive, this is what I have to do. And in case this is where you are now, where you're like, Chrisley, there has not been any options for me. This was the only option for me. And this is the life that I had to lead in order for me to change my situation. In case that's where you're at, I get you. And that's why we're facing it and we're fixing it. I want to tell you that this phase you're in is you're fixing it phase. And hey, I'm not judging you. It's okay. If hey, there's that saying that you gotta do what you gotta do to get what you want. Like, dude, if life pushed you to that point where you just had to do what you had to do to get to where you at, you needed to steal certain things, you needed to be corrupt in certain ways, you needed to cut a corner just for you to have something to eat. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Genuinely speaking, I'm really sorry, because I understand life. I understand what it is, Luck is a very bad place to be. I know what it means to not have. Trust me. I know what it means to not have. I know what it means to not be privileged. I know what it means to fail. I know what it means to be compared. Oh my God. To be compared. And so you're like, because of those, I had to be a certain way. I understand you. I get you. But remember our keywords? Understand, recognize, and acknowledge. And if you've understood and you've recognized and you've acknowledged, you've faced it and you're fixing it, what's the next thing? Make it better. And I believe that you and me can make it better for ourselves. You can make it better for yourself. I understand that it's been rough, it's been hard, and you needed to do certain things, honey. I understand that you needed to open your legs a few times here and there. Like, dude, who doesn't know now, right? And that seems to be the lifestyle now. You know what I mean? And probably you don't relate to this because you are part of the crowd that's privileged. And there's no judgment here. It's fine. All I'm saying is that it's okay. We look up to you who's been privileged. But then there is someone out there who's not and was not as privileged as you. Hence, she had to bend down her back for certain things. He had to bend down. I'm hearing that's Mulusaka Manje. That's what's going on. Few boys here and there are bending down over just to have money. But is that what accepting your situation or accepting where you are? You need to look at that, where you are now. You need to look at it and say, okay, this is where I'm at now. Where I'm at is I can't survive without a sugar daddy. You need to look at yourself and accept that, okay, this is the situation. And then maybe if you're a student and you're just not academically excellent, so you needed to cut a few corners, so you were having sex for grades. You need to take that situation, put it on the table and say, this is where I'm at. You need to face it, honey. You need to face it and fix that. You need to fix that for yourself and for your generation, because if you don't, it will be a pattern that's going to follow your kids as well. So we need to change it. And that's what we are going to talk about next week. And the episode next week, which will be our last episode, will be accept it, do not remain in it. Make it better. Remember, it is face it, fix it, make it better. And probably you're still in your fixing it stage. Next week, we're going to talk about how you can make it better going forward. Somewhat a solution. It may not even be a solution to your problem. I may not help you solution, but it's just to give you some insight on how you can make it better for your future going forward, and just how your mind can be opened and how you can evolve moving from such a mindset, how you and me can help each other actually. You know what I mean? And in case you're in your fixing it stage, it would be good for you to engage in prayer. Pray to God, talk to the Holy Spirit. He's always there with us. And look, it's okay if you've got deep, dark scars. It's fine. Go to them, talk to them. They're always there to listen and say, this is my current, I'm in the fixing it stage. Say, Chris Lake called it the fixing it stage. I'm in the fixing it stage. I need you to step in real quick, because I'll keep doing this thing, because my reality is this. Your reality cannot be someone else's reality. And that's why let's never downplay people's realities. Let's not look at other people and say, can you imagine? You look at a prostitute today and you curse at them. You call them all sorts of names, but honey, you don't know the situation that's there. The day that I stopped judging a prostitute was in 2020. And I brought it out in a Christian group and I was like, let's stop judging prostitutes. And everyone judged me for saying that, because it was so controversial to the Christian community. No, Jesus came for them as well. And so if you're a believer and you downplay what they're going through, I look at them and I feel remorseful, because I'm like, I don't even know what they're going through. Kunganda. I will give an example. Yes, I'm going to give a little testimony. Okay, it's not a testimony, it's just a story. In the few minutes that we have together. So I remember in 2022, late 2022, I remember going to a club, Mukitwe. And I'm not going to mention the club for obvious reasons. So I went in this club and then we're drinking. So I know it's controversial, but I like to be very sensitive in wherever it is that I am. I'm very sensitive. I'm a very compassionate human being. If you've never seen that side of me, then you probably just don't know, or you and me are just not friends. But for people who know me, I'm a very compassionate person. And so I looked at this lady. People always tell me, say, Chris, if you were rich, you'd have been a minister or something, because you'd have just been throwing money. And that's me. Money for me is not really a big thing, because I know what it means to not have money. You know what I mean? So when I have it, I want to share it. And so I saw this lady seated alone. So I counted the hours. I was like, 1 hour, she's just alone. No, what? Tabakwet. So I went to her. I said, oh, mommy. I greeted her. How are you? She was like, fine, shine. Okay. So we had a small chat, and I told her, like, are you waiting for someone? Has your man's disappointed you? And let me tell you, this woman was so honest. She was wearing white. She was dark. And she told me, well, ma'am, I'm not waiting for anyone. I was so confused. So I didn't know that in that club, there is certain people that just come to chauffeur themselves, parade themselves, prostitutes. That's what they do now. They go to a club and, you know what I mean? They will, portray themselves, be there, buy a few drinks here and there, but then, they're prostitutes, they're making money. So that particular day, and for me, after that day, I went to God and I went on my knees and I said, God, I thank you so much for me meeting her. So we're there. So I went back to my seat. I was like, oh, okay, I went back to my seat. My friends, I went told my friends, this is what's going on. That's the lady. We talked about it, joked around it. So even when I was making my rounds, I was telling the waiter to take a round for her on her seat. So I was like, anyway, she's still waiting. It's too dry, but otherwise. But after a few minutes, something told me to go back to her. Okay? Not something, obviously. I'm going to say it was the Holy Spirit. I know it was a very bad place. But anyway, so the Holy Spirit just in me, put the impression to go back to her. So I went back to her and I asked her one question: why are you here? And something just told me that this lady is not a prostitute. So I told her, you're not a prostitute. She started crying. So I said, Then I knew that this was deeper. This is a place where there's music, it's a club. So I told her, you can open up. She just broke down. And she said, I'm not a prostitute, mandi mami umfua. That's when the story came. She was like, look, I live with I've got my baby. He's only 8 months old and I've got a husband. But my husband is like this, he's abusive, no money, he's a drunk. My child is sick. She said, my child is sick and I don't know what to do. I spoke to a few friends and they told me this was the only thing I could do. I tried to sell a few things in the streets today. There was nothing I could sell. The only thing I saw was to come here. So I borrowed this outfit from my friend and this is how I'm here. I don't even know why. And then in my spirit, I was like, yeah. Because I told her that you're not supposed to be in this place. You're not. And I told her, you're not a prostitute. And she said, yes, I'm not. She said, even if I could just make 800 fin, for hospital. And I was like, oh my God. This is what people are going through. You are busy in the car, you are watching, you are passing them and you're there, you're talking ill. But inward, do you even know the gravity? The money that I had, and trust me, I was going to spend that money on alcohol. I gave the money to her because I was like, and I gave the money to her and I told her, leave this club, go. You don't need to be here. I've given you this money that you need. And by the way, that was the last money that I had. I used to get paid, I think in 2022, when I used to work at the radio. I was on probation and whatever. I used to get paid, I think, 1.5, if I'm not mistaken. It was that little, guys. It was that little. But in the little that, and I used to live on my own, by the way. So I had to pay my rent, water, and whatever. But then I gave her the money and I told her, leave this club. This is not your area. This is not your place. And, she said, thank you. And yeah, I just thought of saying that today. Let's have some grace for people. At the same time, not everything we see is exactly what it is. Sometimes when you accept your situation, I think for her, she just accepted that there was really no option. But then for me, I'm so grateful that she was in the right place at the right time, I guess. Because then for me, I told her that don't ever even come here. Like if you need something, I don't know, go to the streets, I don't know, but don't let this be your option. And that's what I told her. And for me, I was grateful, and she was grateful too, that she was able to meet someone. It was, the wrong place, by the way. But I think something good happened that day, right? I'm not also trying to say go to clubs, no. But what I'm saying is that happened because I was there for some reason. And I always tell God this, that, God, I know it was the wrong place, but like, God, like, I was really happy that day I met that lady, because she was really out of place. You can always tell. And I was like, no. And I gave her that money and I told her, leave this place. And she left. That's how she left. I was like, wow, everyone was happy. So what am I trying to say? Don't open your mouth recklessly without knowing exactly full story, what it is. Not everyone in prison is guilty. That's one thing that we should know. Yes, they've been judged guilty, but then some of them are innocent. And so have grace. Give people grace. Have grace with yourself. Be gracious to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Accept your situation. But then remember the next step. We need to make it better. And so that's what we're going to do next week. We are going to make things better. We're going to see how we can make things better. And it may not be the situation. It may not be the answer or the solution. But at least it will be some enlightenment that you can get from this. And so yes, until next time, it's goodbye.